Sound packs are collections of sounds that can seriously expand our production arsenal. Some sound packs are just collection of WAV files focused on some specific genres, and some sound packs are just a bunch of presets tailored to some soft synths like Serum, Massive, Silent One, Diva, and many others. But sometimes sound packs can come as a combination of both. I'm Alex, and today we will be talking about a special breed of sound packs called machine expansions. The word machine here is a big one. I've been there myself, and I thought that machine expansions can only be used by machine owners. And as you might know, we have a complete collection at our disposal, and it's not a collector's edition yet, but still there's 20 something machine expansions included in this package, and for a long time it was a mystery to me. Not only because we don't have a machine hardware in our studio, but also because I had a strong perception that these machine expansions are made mainly for beat making. And all of the videos I've seen on YouTube showcase creating beats. So at some point I decided to sort out with machine expansions, and it turned out they were a bit different to what I thought. So I decided to make a video about these expansions, and if you want to know what may be included in machine expansions, where to find it and how to use it, stay tuned. Currently with Complete 13 there are 5 expansions included in the basic tier, and they are True School, Velvet Lunch, Deep Matter, Solar Breeze, and Lilac Glare. So I suggest we pick up one of these and just see what its description tells us. Let's take a look at Deep Matter expansion. Its description has 5 blocks: samples and loops, drum kits, synth presets, machine exclusive, and some additional information. Numbers, numbers, and numbers. I think it's a big flaw that this information actually tells us nothing. Do you really need 66 kicks, 43 snares, 54 claps, 49 toms, anyone? It's just one expansion, and there are about 90 of them at the moment. Ridiculous amount of stuff. But on the other hand, all of it probably has to make some sense, because in the end of the day there are a lot of positive feedback on these expansions over YouTube. So let's try to sort it out. Let's take a look at samples and loops section. This is straightforward. Number of drum samples is just the total number of samples from drum sample breakdown. These are regular WAV files of kicks, snares, toms, cymbals, and others, and you can find them in expansion name /samples/drums folder, where they are categorized by types. The next important number is number of one-shots. Mostly these are different effects like special sounds, swells, impacts, and so on. These are also WAV files located in expansion name /samples/one-shots folder. What is common between drum samples and one-shots is that they are non-melodical, which means you cannot make melodies or chords out of these sounds. But what you can do is you can create beats and make loops. In fact, expansions already have some pre-rendered loops, and they were made using the drum samples and one-shots. For example, there are 422 loops in Deep Matter expansion. Again, these are WAV files located in expansion name /samples/loops folder. So these drum samples, one-shots, and loops are like a classical sample pack, if you will. Now let's move to the drum kits section. Drum kits are collections of sounds, 16 samples in each. They are made out solely of drum samples or one-shots, or a combination of both. And according to the description, drum kits can be opened by either machine or battery software. Machine files are usually located in expansion name /group/kits folder, and they have extensions MGRP for machine and MXGRP for machine too. Battery files can be found in expansion name /sound/batterykits folder, and they have NBKT extension. Typically there are around 50 drum kits per expansion, so I hope this huge number of samples now starts making some sense. Moreover, the loops we talked about earlier are grouped by drum kits names, and judging by these numbers, there are 10 loops made with each of the drum kits on average. We've been only talking about the beat making part yet, so what about the instrumental part? Actually, in expansion packs you may find either sampled instruments or presets for other Native Instruments soft synths. And by the way, if you want to know more about the product structure of Native Instruments, I recommend you watch videos from this playlist where I was covering that extensively, and the link will also be in the description. Now it's time to take a look at Synth Presets section. Native Instruments have been including presets for just 4 of their products so far. They are the soft synth called Massive and 3 Reaktor plugins, Monarch, Prism and Scanner XT. Massive Presets group is probably the biggest among them. These files have NAMSV extension and they are located in expansion name /sounds/massive sounds folder. Reaktor-based samples are NRKT files in expansion name /sounds folder, where they are grouped by a plugin name. If expansion has such presets, they will be mentioned in Synth Presets block in the description. But this is not a common case. So for example, Deep Matter expansion has 10 presets for Massive and 15 presets for Monarch, while True School doesn't have any of these presets at all. Finally, let's move to the machine exclusive section. And I want to start with sampled instruments part. Deep Matter expansion has 35 sampled instruments. What does that mean? That means these instruments are sampled with 1 or more notes per octave each. Usually it's C and F sharp so that there's an equal interval between the notes, and then it's up to a producer how to handle them. All the samples are WAV files located in expansion name /samples/instruments folder, where they are grouped by instrument names. But that's not all. Actually, expansion packs have instrument sounds which are made exclusively for machine. Number of these sounds is usually very close to number of sampled instruments in expansion, but they don't exactly match. These can be either MSND files for machine or MXSND files for machine too, and they are located in expansion name /sounds folder, grouped by an instrument type, like bass, strings, pads, vocals, and so on. In some cases, expansion may also have drum synth presets. These are also MSND or MXSND files located in expansion name /sounds/drum synth sound folder, but here's a little trick I want to share with you. The thing is that all machine sounds have previews available, and they are OGG files located in preview subfolders of machine sounds folders. You can take them and use them straight away in your DAWs, you don't need to have a machine for that. It makes a little sense for melodical instruments because you can't make a nice sounding instrument out of just one sample, but it's a different story for drum synth. So even if you don't have a machine, you can still make a good use out of drum synth presets. Okay, we have one last thing to cover here, and these are machine projects. Projects are projects, there's nothing special about it. So for example, Deep Matter expansion has 6 projects that you can access via machine, and they are made of samples, loops, instruments and all other stuff we've already talked about extensively. Again, these can be either MPRG files for machine or MXPRG files for machine too, located in expansion name /projects folder. As for patterns, you won't find them as standalone files. As far as I understand, this is the term used within machine to identify groups of notes, and the closest analogy would be MIDI clips. So patterns are MIDI parts that project tracks are made of, and they are provided just to showcase the projects and to serve as a starting point for other works. So let's make a quick roundup. If you don't have any software we talked about earlier, you can still use drum samples, one-shots, loops, sampled instruments and drum synth previews as standalone samples in your DAWs. Having battery will make life a lot easier because drum kits will put most of those samples into some kind of a convenient structure. Soft synths such as Massive, Monarch, Prism or Scanner XT will give access to new sounds through presets. And if you have a machine, you have it all. I didn't know that myself and only found out while preparing for this video. But actually, machine natively supports other Native Instruments soft synth file formats. So that means you can access other presets from within the machine. You don't need to have other plugins if you only want to use these presets and not to modify them. But let me show you how you can access other stuff via machine. All drum samples and one-shots can be found in one-shot section. All loops are grouped under a loops section. All massive Monarch Prism and Scanner XT presets can be found in instrument section. Drum kits in machine are called groups and can be found in groups section. Machine projects are located in project section. Finally, machine sounds are available in sounds group. And you can filter all these drum samples, loops, presets and kits by an expansion name if you put that in the search field. Hopefully now you can reassess your machine expansions and give them a try if you haven't already. If you have any questions or comments, leave them below and have a great 2021. Let it be much better than 2020. And as always, thank you for watching and I will see you in next videos. Bye bye!